Hello and welcome to SOLIDWORKS Skills video.
Once you have your puzzle box design to the point where you've created an assembly, it can be very useful to show how the box is to be opened, thereby illustrating the puzzle box characteristic. Here I have a box that I created some time back. It has three unique parts. I will show you what those parts look like. There's an inner box that has two large protrusions, this rectangular shape, and within each of those protrusions is a cam following groove that form the puzzle box nature. So I have an opening in the middle for the coins, and I also have put on some thumb grooves to aid in pulling the thing apart. The outer box has mating grooves inside. You can see them right here. These large grooves, there's one on each side. And in addition, there is a side cutaway on each of the sides that are for a part that I call the slider. And you'll see in a moment how that slider provides it's essentially like a little combination box. The slider moves in the side grooves. There's a cylindrical button here that follows the cam groove on the side of the inner box. So I'll go over to the assembly, which I've already created. It is fully constrained, and in order to aid understanding what's happening, I will make the parts, the outer parts, transparent. So I right click, change transparency. I'll do that to both of the sliders as well, and then you'll be able to see, you'll follow along as the puzzle box is opened sequentially. So the way this works is that this slider moves and the button moves with it, and then you're able to pull, because you see how this is already in a vertical opening groove. You'll be able to pull the inner box down to where it hits here. Let's just go ahead and create the assembly of the exploded view, and all of this will become eminently clear in a moment. Alright, so we'll click on exploded view. And the first thing we will do, let's get a little bit of a close-up here, is I want to move this slider to where this button is in the open clear area. So I click on that part, I will drag it to the right and stop. You can zoom in a little bit and rotate to get things looking better. Be sure to click back on the current explode step or you'll create a new one. And I'll stop about there. So that would be my first step. The second step, let's take a look here. You see that this side is not blocked, so I can pull the inner box down, and I'll click and drag. I'll click on the inner box, drag it straight down. Again, you can zoom in and see exactly what's happening. Let's click again on that step, and I'll drag this down until the button appears to just come into contact with, or very close to, the stop. You see where I'm putting it right about there. Alright, so that's my second step. Now here also notice that this button would have come in contact with the top of its groove. So what I need to do is the next step is to move this slider. I'll click on it and I will drag it inwardly so that the button is now again in a free and clear area. Move back to this side. I also have to create yet another step, so I'll click again on this part and I'll drag this slider back where its button is in the free and clear, right about there. And now, because I've moved both of them, you can see how the inner box is now free to move yet again. So I'll click on the inner box, drag it straight down. I'll be keeping an eye on that button. Click on that exploded step, and let's zoom in even a little bit more. Click on the step. I want to zoom out just a little bit so you can see your arrow. And now we have moved the inner box to the point where this button now again contacts its limit. The other side, no such problem. In fact, I don't have to move the other side anymore. So the next step will be to move the slider one more time. I will move it to the right. Let's see if it clears. It should be okay. I will edit this just a little bit, move it a little bit further over to the right. That's too far. Let's go back a little. Alright, that looks about good. And the next step, the last step, is for the box, the inner box, to be pulled straight down all the way, giving plenty of clearance for the coins to go in or out. So I will accept that. That is the extent of my animation. And then let's go back to the configurations tab, and I will open up, and here is the exploded view. Notice I push the right pointing arrow, right click on this, and I will animate the collapse. So it does that, moves the thing. Let me zoom in a little bit. You can see the motion. I'll run it one more time. I'll rewind it and play the animation. The inner box comes up. You can see how the sliders are working. I'll replay it again on this side. Comes up, up and again. This moves. So therefore, you as the viewer have a very clear picture of how this animation, how the puzzle box works. The last thing I'm going to show is how to save this animation to an AVI file that you can, and we want you to submit this as extra credit through Moodle. Okay, so now I have my exploded view all set up. It's currently shown in the exploded condition. I'm going to collapse it, and let's get ready to create the first animation. The hope here is that this animation will effectively illustrate how all the parts interact, and if I've done a good job of my on the exploded view and everything else, of course, that will be the case. So I will right click on exploded view over here in the configuration tab. I will click on animate explode, and it will do it one time just to show me what it will look like. I think I'd rather see the other side in the first view. Let's orient it a little bit differently. I also like to keep things on screen, so I'll zoom and pan as necessary. That should work right there. Let me move it down just a little bit. Okay, great. So let me rewind it, run it one more time to confirm that it looks like what I want it to be, and then I will save it to an AVI. Yep, that looks pretty good. So I will go back to the start, click on Save Animation. Now I've already got a few here. I've been playing around a bit. I will call it puzzlebox6.avi. You can call it whatever you like. And I will go ahead and save it. Use the default codec. You can try others if you like. Codec is an acronym for coder decoder. It's a way of creating video files. I'll click on OK and sit back and let the magic happen. You might see some flashes on the screen. That's okay. That doesn't mean that your file is corrupted. Let me bring back my File Explorer. Here I will bring up where these are located. Notice that it created a puzzlebox6.avi. That's the one that I just created. And if I double click on that, the animation will begin immediately, and you can see what was created. Looks good. I think I want to create one more. I'm going to close this viewer. I'm going to go back and rotate my part to the other side, and you're encouraged to do this. Sometimes you can't tell everything from one view, so I'll replay the animation. I'll save the animation. This one I'll call Puzzlebox 7. That'll be my second one. I'll save it. Same codec, and let it do the explosion. Okay, now I've got that. I'll go back to where my files are located, and notice that 7 has been created. Here I'll double click on that, and here is the animation looking pretty good. Okay, so that pretty much wraps up this particular video. I hope that you do go ahead and create animations of your puzzle box for a few reasons. It'll show to yourself that it can be done. It'll show your TA and your faculty how your box goes together. And last but not least, you will get the extra credit for having created your animations.
Thank you for watching. This video is part of a series created by Neil Rosenberg and Joseph Caswell. All rights reserved.